Laugh, original English title, Smile, is a 2022 American psychological horror film written and directed by Parker Finn, based on his 2020 short film Laura Has Slept. In the film, actress Sosie Bacon plays therapist Rose Cotter. She encounters strange supernatural phenomena after a patient commits suicide at the clinic. Other cast members include Jessie, Usher, Gallner, Caitlin Stasey, Cal Penn and Rob Morgan. The movie adaptation of Finn's short film was announced in June 2020. The cast is selected and filming begins in October 2021 in New Jersey. The film was originally scheduled to be released only on the Paramount Plus platform but was released widely in theaters due to good effects after the preview screening. The film premiered at Fantastic Fest on September 22, 2022, and was released in theaters by Paramount Pictures on September 30. Smile received generally positive reviews from critics for its scare scenes, cinematography, music, direction, and good performance by the female lead, despite some similarities to earlier films such as The Ring 2002, It Follows 2014, and Truth or Dare 2018. Sosie Bacon as Dr. Rose Cotter. Megan Brown Pratt as Rose at 10 years old. Kyle Gallner as Joel. Caitlin Stasey as Laura Weaver. Jessie Usher as Trevor. Rob Morgan as Robert Talley. Cal Penn as Dr. Morgan Desai. Robin Weigert as Dr. Madeline Northcott. Judy Reyes as Victoria Munoz. Jillian Zinsser as Holly. Nick Arapagla as Greg. Sarah Kapner as Stephanie. Jack Sosie as Carl Rankin. Dr. Rose Cotter, a therapist who was traumatized by witnessing her mother's suicide at age 10, takes an emergency session with graduate student Laura Weaver after she is admitted to Mount Pleasant Hospital. Laura, who witnessed her professor Gabriel Munoz bludgeon himself with a hammer just a few days earlier, frantically claims she is being haunted by a malevolent presence whose curse has consumed her life and no one but her can see. Insists that the entity has the power to appear as other people wearing an eerie smile. Claiming she is about to die, Laura suddenly freaks out, then begins smiling ominously before cutting open her neck with a broken vase shard in front of Rose. One of the detectives who interviews Rose about Laura's death turns out to be her ex-boyfriend Joel. Still shaken by what she saw, Rose recounts what Laura told her about supposedly being cursed by an evil presence with a haunting smile. Rose begins seeing Laura smiling at her in various places. The visions inspire Rose to look into Gabriel Munoz's suicide, and she learns Gabriel was also smiling strangely immediately before he died. Rose checks on her patient Carl Rankin, who was previously admitted to the hospital for a manic episode. Carl smiles ominously and begins threatening and terrifying Rose, which causes her to call security. Orderlies restrain Carl, but it turns out Rose only imagined his aggressive behavior. Believing that Laura's shocking death may have caused a mental breakdown, Rose's boss Dr. Morgan Desai puts Rose on 1 week's leave. Following another frightening vision of Laura, the security alarm goes off while Rose is home alone. An operator from the security service seemingly calls Rose with a taunting message. The real operator calls Rose shortly thereafter. After her fiancé Trevor returns home, Rose notices her cat is missing. Trevor has to calm Rose when she becomes suddenly spooked again while reviewing audio from her session with Laura. Concerned for own mental health, Rose visits her former therapist, Dr. Madeline Northcott. Rose explains she is having hallucinations, which Madeline attributes to Rose's long-standing guilt over her mother's intentional overdose. Madeline denies Rose's request to prescribe antipsychotic medication. Rose and Trevor attend a birthday party for Rose's 7-year-old nephew Jackson at Rose's sister, Holly's house. Guests are mortified when Jackson opens Rose's gift to find her dead cat packaged inside. Vehemently insisting she isn't responsible, Rose trips and falls through a glass table after another. Vision of Laura terrifies her. With her sanity unraveling, Rose tries to tell Trevor about the supposed curse that plagued Laura apparently being passed on to her. Trevor dismissively accuses Rose of inheriting mental illness from her mother and of killing their cat. Rose visits Gabriel Munoz's widow Victoria. Victoria shows Rose macabre sketches Gabriel drew of a dark entity he claimed was trying to get inside him. Rose also learns Gabriel was traumatized by the death of his brother 20 years ago, and he began ranting about the curse after attending a conference where he saw a woman kill herself. Rose asks for the woman's name, but Victoria kicks Rose out of her house after Rose becomes insistent that Gabriel was telling the truth about his curse. Rose convinces Joel to help her continue connecting clues. Joel uses his police computer to access a file for Angela Powell, who was the real estate agent that Gabriel Munoz saw die. Additional video shows that, several days prior to her death, Angela saw a smiling man suddenly hack his own neck with gardening shears at a gas station. Rose returns home to find that Trevor called Madeline for an intervention over Rose's worrying mental state. Feeling betrayed, Rose storms out to take copies of Joel's files to her sister Holly. Rose tries telling Holly about the curse, which only leads to the sisters arguing about Rose behaving similarly to their abusive mother. Joel calls Rose to tell her that further digging revealed a chain of 20 similar cases involving witnesses to 19 suicides. The exception was accountant Robert Talley, who watched his business partner commit suicide. Instead of subsequently killing himself, however, Robert murdered a stranger 4 days later. 1 week after that, the eyewitness to Robert's actions committed suicide and the pattern resumed. Joel takes Rose to see Robert Talley in jail. During the drive, Rose tells a disbelieving Joel that she thinks the entity possesses people before they kill themselves, and she worries her time with the curse is almost up. At the jail, Robert privately reveals to Rose that the only way to break the curse's chain is to kill someone else, but there has to be a witness, because the entity needs trauma to continue surviving. Robert suddenly panics when he realizes Rose currently carries the curse. Madeline visits Rose back at home. Rose realizes the presence is impersonating Madeline when the real Madeline calls her on the phone. Madeline's smiling doppelganger threatens Rose. Armed with a kitchen knife, Rose drives to the hospital. Rose experiences a vision of stabbing her patient Carl to death in front of Dr. Desai, who then tears off his own face. The real Dr. Desai finds Rose in her car with the knife and he tries to summon help before she hurriedly drives away. Joel calls to tell Rose there is an APB out for her based on the encounter with her concerned boss at the hospital. Rose cryptically explains that she is going to confront the entity and wants to be alone so no witnesses can inherit the curse. Rose drives to her abandoned childhood home where her mother died. Inside, Rose confronts a vision of her mother, who accuses Rose of allowing her to die by not calling for help upon finding her overdosing. Rose accuses her mother of being an abusive monster. The vision then morphs into a lanky creature that attacks Rose. Rose sets the creature on fire using an oil lantern. Rose then escapes outside as the entire house goes up in flames. Rose visits Joel to apologize for involving him in this situation and for not being emotionally available during their relationship. Rose realizes she is still cursed when Joel smiles eerily. Rose flees outside to discover she never actually left her intact childhood home. The real Joel arrives at the abandoned house. To protect him, Rose locks Joel outside while the creature pulls open her mouth. Joel breaks into the house in time to see Rose set herself on fire while smiling ominously. There is something fundamentally unsettling about being on the receiving end of an unprovoked happy face. That uncanny creepiness is maximized many times over in Smile, the feature debut of writer-director Parker Finn. An expansion of his 11-minute short film Laura Can't Sleep, it shares a lot of horror DNA with the likes of It Follows, Hereditary, The Ring, and others. But what it lacks in originality, it makes up for with scares that are effectively calibrated to earn your respect and cold shivers almost every step of the way. In large part, that's due to star Sosie Bacon. As Rose, she spends much of the movie in hysterics, but it's believable and gradual, never feeling like she goes from 0-100 in 2 scenes flat, as she desperately tries to convince her friends, family, and therapist, a game Robin Weigert, that she's not crazy, while teaming up with her cop ex-boyfriend, Kyle Gallner, to investigate the origin of her boogeyman. Bacon skillfully modulates her performance to become increasingly unraveled as her life falls apart around. It's a journey that examines the impact childhood trauma can have on our adult selves. A rich emotional vein mined especially well in Rose's conversations with her self-absorbed sister, Holly, Gillian Zinsser. There's less clarity in what Finn is trying to say about mental health and the stigmas attached to it. But Smile's primary focus is on terrifying its audience, and it does that well and often. Characters twisting their faces into grotesque smiles before killing themselves in shocking, graphic fashion is not the only striking imagery that Smile manages to conjure up. Even pets aren't spared Finn's wrath. The jump scares mount quickly, but the hit rate is high, and Cristobal Tapia deveres suitably. Haunting score only adds to the sense of dread. It's enough to make you want to turn that frown upside down after you're done squirming. Though it may be derivative, Smile still manages to be a scary, unsettling ride that's powered by an impressively committed Sosie Bacon performance and some assured direction. Finn is one to watch.